All right, are you ready for Miss Linda's crash course on the many materials that we're going to be using? These are just what we're going to be using in the beginning of our journey here. So let's start with paper. We've got our regular Xerox paper. You can hear it. It's actually fine for everything. It works with everything. Then we have a medium grade drawing paper. If you can see, it's a little bigger. These are 8.5 by 11. These are 9 by 12. And then I separated them so I didn't get them confused. And then this is a thicker drawing paper. If you notice, they're not pure white either, which is fine. This is a little stronger and it holds up better when you're doing heavy color or heavy drawing. Then we have tagboard. This is the mama of all drawing papers. This is great when you're using glues and things that you don't want to penetrate, because we know sometimes markers and things penetrate. And then this is watercolors. We won't be using this right away, but I wanted to show you, just listen to that. It's almost like a piece of metal or something. Wubba, wubba, wubba. It has a texture to it. It's thick so that it absorbs liquid. Now, all of these are fine to use for all of our art projects. So what I'm going to do next is show you that you can buy drawing paper if you're more of an organized person, or this is how you like to keep things. They're spiral bound. They're a very good quality paper. There's quite a few pages to work with. Then there's also very good, these are both very good companies as well. Very good drawing paper that can be removed, or you can actually just flip the page and use it. And I'm going to say it again, use both sides of the paper if you can. We need to conserve as much as we can. We have colored paper. We'll be using this quite a bit. Miss Linda is really big on using black paper. The black paper just makes our brains think a little bit differently. But look at the colors. It's amazing. Miss Linda loves color. I love this paper. Now, for some projects, and again, not right away, but I want you to become familiar with this, tracing paper. If you thought that my heavyweight paper was really loud and noisy and all this, listen to this crinkly stuff. You can see through it. See my hand? Let's do this. See? This is when you're going to be doing a copy of something. You're going to be using tracing paper. This is, I love this. And you'll hear me call it tissue paper over and over again because I never can get that right. So now we know about our paper. And I'm going to need paper to demonstrate the different types of pencils. These are your number 2 regular pencils. This is a Prismacolor ebony pencil. It's extremely thick. So I'm just going to show you, and I'm going to do my grasp, grab, and pinch and hold. That's me. It's smooth. It's kind of buttery. This is how I always say it. These, you'll hear, are a little bit drier. Seems a little scratchier. Nope, there's a bumper again. Now, when you're working on, I'm going to flip this over because I'm going to use it for another demonstration. When you're using with white pencils, there are different types of white pencils. This is a Prang. This is a Prismacolor. This is one from a catalog that works very well. Kind of creamy. Prismacolors are the most expensive, but they work the best. Creamy. And the regular ones work fine. They're just a little drier. They just don't have the same makeup. You can see it's a little paler. Now, again, if you're going to push with all of them really hard, you're going to get the same sort of results. And I said I was going to use this again, and I am. Because not only do you have pencils, oh, let's not forget, there are artist pencils that have several different types inside. Each one has a different degree of lightness and thickness of lines, deepness. So there's a tone and a shading difference in these. These are great. Once you're confident in your drawing and you have some special occasion coming up that you earn some sort of something, it might be a good thing to earn. Now, with our pencils, we also need erasers. So actually, let's do this. These are the erasers that you put on the back of the pencils, because I'm not sure who invented the pencils with those little tiny erasers on them, but they sure weren't thinking that you're going to use them as much as we do. So there's these little pop-on ones you can get. Notice, always hold your paper when you're erasing, otherwise it's going to crinkle up on you. These work great. And we are going to do art where we're going to put the pencil on the paper, then we're going to take it off with an eraser. These white ones are probably my favorite, and you'll see why. I can take that whole line off. Notice this. If you're at home, don't go throwing it on the carpeting for someone else to vacuum up. Push it off to the side, because you should have a work area. These are your standard that you get everywhere, and they work as well. But can you see the difference? These push it around a little bit. Doesn't mean they're not good. It just means you're going to have to just do it a little more. Put a little more effort into it. You have to learn what you can work with. And these, these smell really bad, but they work really well. Again, you're going to get the schmutzy stuff that you need to push off to the side with any eraser, actually. So if you have pencils, excuse me, if you have pencils, you need to have your sharpeners. There's so many. Metal ones last forever, and they're very good. This one my daughter gave me, and it is my favorite one. I panic when I can't find it. That's how good it is. So we're going to move on. I'm going to remove the pencils, and let's talk about adhesives or glues. Now, there are 4 here, but there are hundreds that you can choose from. This is Fast Grab Tacky Glue. I call it Goopy Gloppy Glue because it's super thick. It barely comes out, but it dries in like the count of 30. And it's super fast grab, like it said. It keeps wood together, anything. Tacky Glue will do the same thing. It's also thick. It works as well. But this one, 30 seconds. So if you're doing something super thick and heavy, that's a 1. Glue sticks work really well. The problem with a glue stick is, number 1, they get clogged. Number 2, they don't hold the paper on there forever. But if you're doing a mosaic or something, it's best to use something like this because you can get it on there. Otherwise, you need to use a toothpick or a paintbrush. And then we have our white glue. This glue is good for almost anything. It's basically the same as these, it's just not as thick. All right, pencils, papers, erasers, glues. Off to the side, we're going to move on to our colored pencils. Again, there's so many different kinds of colored pencils you can buy. I, of course, have my bucket of them because I keep buying them. I love them. Some of them are very old and very small. Some of them are brand new and long. They come with silvers, golds. This one hasn't even been sharpened. I must have just purchased that one. So when you're using these, you can go over. Notice I'm using my finger as a bumper. I'm going to teach you more about that a little later on today. The good thing about colored pencils is you have more control over them than a crayon. They're a tighter tip. You can go heavier or lighter. You can go one over the other. Because the crayons are waxy, you can't do that. I obviously adore colored pencils. There's certain things that I just prefer to work with. We're going to move on to our crayons, and I'm just going to twist our paper so that we use the whole thing. Now, I keep a little box or tub of these. These are my peeled crayons. We use these quite often. We're going to be using them next week, in fact. Now, these are new. These were not around when my kids were in school. These are super cool. They're almost like a colored pencil, but they have that waxy finish. Come in a gazillion colors. We have our, okay, you're lucky you can't see my face. I'm making a face because the smell of crayons always makes me kind of cringe, make a funny face. Crayons, and notice Miss Linda's bucket of crayons. They're not brand new crayons. I don't throw crayons out unless they're really tiny and not very good anymore, because crayons can also become a little old and they don't, the wax in them. My suggestion is, it's actually in the Crayola Crayon website. They have an amazing demonstration on how a crayon is made. You are going to be amazed in the colors you see on it. So again, crayons are waxy. I can actually take my fingernail and get little pieces off of there. And I'm going to show you the difference. If I put an orange over here, you really can't see it like you can. The transparency, which means seeing through something, is not there. The purpose of the peeled crayons, or you can use them in the opposite way. Instead of using them like a pencil, you pinch them between your fingers and you can do broad strokes with them. You can also use them like that if you choose. But to have them separated and have a good variety of colors saves you a lot of time when you're doing your artwork. Being prepared is super, super, super important. Now, one of the last things that I'm going to demonstrate, see, there has some little smudge on my paper. I'm just going to flip it over and use it anyway. Oh, markers. These, there are seriously probably 200 different kinds. These are, they call them premium, and they're kind of cool. I'm just going to show you a packet of them. And then I'm going to show you what they're like. They're almost like a paintbrush. Let's use a different color. Light blue is hard to see. These are for very specific types of artwork that you're doing. And these are standard, but they are so smart. They have 2 different colors on them. So you get twice as many colors when you buy it. Purple, turquoise or turquoise. Actually, these colors look very good together. They have grays and blacks and yellows. These are, they're a fine tip marker. But if you use it on the side, you're going to get a thicker line. Then you have your standard, and yes, another Miss Linda bucket of fun. You have your standard markers, which are thick. Reds. They have browns that are more flesh colored now, which are really nice to work with. Let's get an orange in here. And then I'm going to move on to pastels. Pastels are another one of Miss Linda's favorites. They can do so many things. I'm going to use a thicker paper for the pastels. You don't have to. Use what you have. This is just the beginning of our, our journey into the art world. So we need to just, use what we have, figure out what we need, earn it. All right. These are oil pastels. And you're going to hear me say words like smudging and smushing and show what they can do. Use your finger. And if you want to, you can always put a little bit of lotion on your finger because they're oil and the lotion is oil. Look at that. It's like I created some beautiful flowing bushes out in the meadow with just 2 colors, 2 strokes. Like I said, you're going to really enjoy working with these. And I do love these. Oh, how to describe it. The effects that you get with these are amazing. The mess that they can make is amazing as well. So when you are using these, you need to put newspaper or an old sheet or something. Always ask the grown-ups around what's the best way to do it. Look at these. Look at that. Just makes you want to put your fingers in there and get at it. All right, so here's our oil pastels. These are going to have chalky, almost like the eraser bases in your fingers. I've just touched these. It's fine. Soap and water. Do you hear how soft they are? Super soft. Okay, blue and orange are complementary colors, so we'll put some orange, dark orange, and then a light orange. And then let's put a brown in there just for the heck of it. And let's see what I can do with these. See my hands? Half clean already just by rubbing them together. If you like, you can just keep a damp or an old cloth to wipe your fingers off with. So watch. They're like this little soft. Look at that. Looks like a porcupine's hand. Like I said, Miss Linda sees stuff in everything. So if you think that it sounds odd, it's not, because I can really see it. So that's just the beginning of what we're going to be working with. We all need to be familiar with it. I am so excited about our journey that's coming up. Just like, can't tell you.